welcome to Spill the RT, episode 73. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing actually well for once. How about that? Who knew? I should knock on wood, knocking on wood, and I'm
Everything's looking
sure
up,
I am
Josh.
sure bad things will happen before the end of the day, 100% guaranteed. But
Nah,
nonetheless, I'm actually having a pretty good week thus far. So, how about you? How's your week been?
yeah, all is good, all is rosy. Things are tripping away. That's what you want to do, isn't it? In the middle of February, now that we're in February, the second month of the year,
Well,
getting
it
ready
depends
for
on what you mean by
Valentine's
tripping.
Day.
Depends on
Um,
what you mean by tripping. I'm from
not,
Humboldt County, so when I say tripping, believe me, I'm not talking about falling down.
I'm tripping away on the happiness of life,
There
Josh.
you go.
That's what
Me
I'm
too.
doing.
Me too.
Tripping
With
away
extra.
on the extra endorphins that are self-produced, shall we say.
I see. See, I prefer more the kind of supplement form, but what do I know? What do I know?
Absolutely. I got my tea. It's all G. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
What you
So
gonna
what
do?
I am gonna do is I'm gonna tell you this week's story. You ready for this?
I am. I'm
We got
waiting. I'll sip away.
you got to sip away. We got some, and don't step on my end, damn it. We got some great stuff coming up. Look at that. He's like, he always does that. He always does that.
I'll step
This
on your
week,
tail.
see, he steps on the front.
Well, you said not to step
This
on the
one.
front, and you said not to step on the end. You didn't say anything about stepping on the front. So I'm
Here's the thought. Here's the thought. Just pretend you're walking next to me on the sidewalk.
okay.
Don't walk into
Hold
me.
on,
That's
hold on,
all.
hold on, hold on. Let me get into that frame of mind. Let me get there. Okay, I'm there. What sort of
All
pathway
right.
is it? Is it like a pavement with like little trip hazards? Are we gonna be tripping on the pavement?
This week, Michelangelo's first masterpiece made it 12. Horror lovers have high empathy. Alaska art student arrested for eating another student's AI generated art in protest. I can't even. I can't even. The list of artists who refused to work with the Kennedy Center grows, and then, of course, they shut it down. And what should fair museum repatriation look like? All that and a recurrent beloved guests are up next as we spill the art tea. Welcome to episode 3.
Excellent. We are all set and ready to go into 73. But before we do that, Josh, tell all of our viewers, listeners, watchers, what are they to do?
So, there's really 3 things at the end of the day. We need you to like, subscribe, and comment. You can do the other things too. Send to 3 friends, buy some swag, right? But ideally, like, subscribe, share, right?
Leave a comment. That's it. That's it. And you can catch us
Leave a
all
comment.
on www.newcollective.com
I
or
mean,
at
I
New
know
Collective Art.
you hear this all the time from everything you listen to and watch. I get it. I hate the algorithm too. You hate
Mm,
the algorithm. But if you actually want, not just from us, but other things to show up in your feed that you actually like, doing that will actually encourage the algorithm to give
mm,
you stuff that's kind of more like us. So what I always
exactly.
say is it's kind of mutual. If you help us out, it actually helps you out too. Your
It
mileage may
does.
vary, but what can I say?
I know. So you might like just, skip past all of the boring adverts that people are going to, well, no, they'll still push them on you because,
But we don't.
but we
We don't.
don't. We don't.
No
There's never an advert to
sponsors.
be seen.
There's no
Never an
sponsor here,
advert
is
to be
there?
seen. No,
You
there
never
isn't.
have that issue with
No.
us. So I mean,
Right.
that's the trade-off. That's the
Well,
trade-off.
Enrique Hernandez, our Spanish comrade, our Spaniard, is waiting in the waiting room. Shall we bring him in?
I hope so.
Let's bring him in. Enrique, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Bienvenue.
Hola,
Buenasera.
hola,
Doing?
hola, hola.
We are live
Very
from
happy to be back.
Espanol, Barcelona. Are you in
Hola,
Barcelona
hola.
today?
I am in Madrid. No, I am in London today.
You're in London, London,
He
London, the big
wishes.
lights.
He
Don't we
wishes he was
all?
in Madrid.
Don't we
Uh,
Be a
all?
lot warmer. Be a lot warmer, right?
Definitely. But what can we do? Here we are. But super, super excited and super happy to be back here again.
Having the
Nice to see you.
chats, having the
Yes,
giggles.
So are
Excellent.
you
Well,
ready?
are you ready to spill some tea?
I am
Okay.
really excited. I've heard some very, very cool stories for today, so can't wait to go through all of them.
Well,
So
with
here
that
we
in
go.
mind, go on, Josh.
Amo, throw up the image because it's not going to make sense without the image.
Okay, okay,
So
here we
this,
go.
take a look at this picture and tell me if this looks like mature artwork or someone's actual very first painting. And then I'll tell you how old the person was who painted this.
Well, the caption kind of gives it away, Josh, I'm afraid.
Oh, I can't see the caption, so I
Okay.
don't know. But the point is, it
Um,
doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you the age of the
to
person.
to be fair, Enrique, I would say when he was 12, gave it away. Spoiler alert, he was probably
Yes,
making artwork like this, given the style of his work right now. So,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe. But this
Enrique, were
was
you a boy genius as at the age of 12?
I wasn't definitely, but
You
I
certainly
really
were.
find it very interesting. Like the level of complexity and experimentation, like definitely it looks like
yeah,
part of a process that would happen later in life, or
yeah.
at least if it
Stop,
is as it looks
stop,
part of a
put the
bigger process.
telephone on hold right now because I tell you, this painting here, if I actually end up being able to paint like this conceptually driven, this most fabulous representation of amazingness, before I die, if I get to that level on my deathbed, I will be very happy. I mean, look at
I was
it.
going to say
It's
this isn't this isn't about the maturity of the artist. This is literally like the maturity of the art form, right? He's hundreds of years ahead of what's not going to be done by almost any other artist for literally, this is
no,
from 1787.
yes.
No, 1487. Sorry, 1487, right? We're talking at least 200 years ahead of its time in terms of the
Hmm.
complexity of this image. It's crazy.
I
It's just
mean,
his first.
it's giving Bruegel, it's giving it's giving Bosch. Like, I mean, it's like how are we getting this sort of work from somebody who is still in classical Renaissance, even pre-Renaissance?
It it anticipates surrealism. Come
Literally,
on.
it's outrageous. It's just fabulous, though, and it's very much the kind of
Like,
work that I just resonate with. I love it. I'm here for it.
I mean, all three of us are painters. I have this theory, right? I think that like there's these boundaries to what painting can do, right? And
Mm,
so each of us has like the ability to kind of like map this out. And what I always like is when I come across something from someone who's like hundreds of years removed from me, and I can see like the same boundary markers of, oh, this is how I approach the line. This is how I approach light. This is
mm,
how I approach how I want composition to work, right? It's like this is what the art is. It doesn't matter when we do it. Like we're seeing it the
mhm.
way they're seeing it.
I do wonder though, what was happening in his home house? What was happening with mom and dad? Like, were they giving him some very strict, like, is Dante in his library perhaps? Like, what's going on?
Well, this is the 15th century Florence. We're not talking about what would we say here? Like 1920s Germany kind of lifestyle, right? Very much more religious, very much more doctrinaire, very much more medieval
Mm,
than modern life.
yes. Well, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
find that very interesting. Yeah, I'd like to think also we sometimes we see artists for their work later in life, and we imagine these artists as adults, but they
Yeah.
were young and they were children at some point, and they had a family and they had a
Hmm.
house, and how all that led to like imagining them in that environment doing what they were doing. I think it's amazing to think that way.
But I don't know I would call someone who's painting like this at 12 a child, right? I mean, it goes back to Amos' point. If as an actual illustrator, I ever reached that level, particularly with oils, that level of sophistication
Hmm.
and control, right? Like
It's just
I can do
stunning.
that. I can do that illustratively with pen and pencil, but painting wise, man, that's real skill.
It's beautiful. It's utterly beautiful. And also, I wonder, like, let's get a child psychologist onto this right now and say, right, what's happening? What's happening, right? What's going on? If you were to go into art therapy and think
No,
about what's going on in poor Michelangelo's head, no wonder he was a genius because he was so
no,
messed up.
but the title of this is The Torment of Saint Anthony, right? Like I'm saying, it's not him. This is someone
Mm.
who's being raised in Catholicism,
Okay, let's not
right?
open
Like
that kind of worms.
I'm not okay. We have a Spaniard here who comes from a Catholic country. You cannot tell me exposure
I,
to the
I,
Bible
I,
isn't
co-
like
I
in
come
your
from an
blood on a
Irish
certain
country. We're equally as Catholic.
same. That's the same point,
We're Catholics.
right? This is why I'm so glad to come from a tradition of like none of this because
Uh-huh.
like this influences people in ways. And I'm saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not surprising to me that his first painting is a religious inspired painting.
Mm. I love it anyway. So, yeah. Bring me
Well,
more of this. Bring me more of this, Michelangelo. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
And the irony is when this was sold originally, it went on auction. It was not identified to him. It was sold far cheaper than its actual value is. It was
Mm,
thought of a contemporary of his, and then it was
yeah.
later back verified to be his. And then obviously that made the value,
It's so
skyrocket.
Bosch like though, isn't it? It's like it's just Bosch.
Yes,
Well,
I was thinking exactly that. Yeah,
Even the fact that
and
it's like it's suspended and it's part of like, and the balance of how it's on the rock in a very kind of like top heavy perspective, it just seems like, yeah. Anyway.
like I said, it reminded me of, like, I think of William Blake, and then I look at
Yes.
this and I'm like, wait, you did this how many hundreds of years before Blake? And
Ugh.
yet,
Ugh.
right? And for those who are not aware, Blake is incredibly detailed as an expressionist painter of exactly similar kinds of scenes that look nothing like this whatsoever,
I'm gonna leave
right?
this with
It's
one
just
word.
like,
One word. There's one word for this. Rude. No, let's move on.
okay, oof.
It's
So,
rude.
so Enrique, do you like horror films?
oof, I don't know. I don't know. I like mystery films, but if it's too much on the side of horror, sometimes it's too much, I would say.
Because you
Um,
can visualize and it turns you off.
kind
Yeah,
of, yeah,
yeah. How
yes.
about you, Amo? You a fan?
No.
No, neither am I. Honestly,
I I like psychological thrillers. If it's like just gory for the sake of goriness, then I'm not here for it.
right.
But if it's
So,
like a like proper thriller, then like with like
shh,
mind
no,
bending
no,
stuff. Yeah.
no. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about
Okay.
like horror, like Suspiria, Gallons of Blood, Texas Chainsaw. Like the
Oh.
gorier, the better, right? The
May have picked the
Saws,
wrong
the
image for this then. But anyway.
anyhow. So the common, I think, theory behind that is that people that like that stuff lack in empathy, right? They're getting off on like the violence. This
Mm.
major study came out, and it's actually the opposite. They actually have deeper empathy than the average person, and
I would
yet
agree with that.
for some reason they're able to kind of enjoy this. And the
Mm.
analogy I would make, I think this kind of makes sense. You know how some people enjoy really bitter things that other people simply can't eat? They just don't like it. Like, you know how there's some sherries that are so bitter that
Yeah.
unless you have it with a nut or cheese, it's undrinkable, right? And yet
Mm.
some people enjoy that stuff in ways that other people just don't. So I think that's what this is kind of pointing to, that the more extreme this stuff is actually activating their empathy in a weird kind of way.
Mm. So you're not heartless, you just have a heart full of gold.
I don't know. I don't know, but let's just put that the cliche that like the more hard-hearted you are, the more an enjoyer of this you'd be. I don't think that's the case at all. Right?
Okay,
Like serial
interesting.
murderers are probably not horror movie fans. And you would think that they would be, but that's not what this study is showing at all. And so that's
Mm.
why I wanted to bring this out. I just thought it was interesting because as artists, right, one of the things that makes creatives creative, whatever mode you're working in, whatever your medium is this idea that you look at the world and you're trying to take it in and process it and then
Mm.
like give it back out in some kind of way, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, the idea of empathy, I think, is like very natural. And it's why we get drawn into things
Well, I
politically
suppose so.
because of
If
that.
if you think of like the shower scene in Psycho and the whole that thing, with the knife. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we feel sorry for her because of the fact that she's being stabbed to death by this psycho person. Yeah, like that. Perfect. It's like, oh my God,
Ja-
you should have got
Ja-
that role. You should have got that role,
Janet,
Josh.
are you kidding? I am Janet Leigh.
Excellent. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, I mean, typecast. Anyway,
Jamie Lee
so
Curtis is my daughter. Yes, I birthed her. She's mine.
that's weird. You did not birth anything. Okay, right. Anywho, but like it's just like, you feel sorry for them and therefore you have empathy towards the problems that this person is feeling because of how scary it is. So I suppose that does make you human, that you would be
So let,
scared of it.
so let me get this straight. If you were not scared by someone being hit with a knife, you would have no empathy. I just want to clarify what you're saying here exactly.
Potentially, only if it's like in a way that's being portrayed is like so surreal or so in a way that's not believable, then and if you're not feeling empathy in that situation, then it's kind of like, well, I've brought myself out of the drama now, so this is just rubbish.
I have two terminal degrees that are equivalent to being a doctor. You know why I did not become a doctor? Because I don't want to see nothing involving none of this.
Oh
No.
dear, we're a doctor this week, okay.
No, that's the whole point. I am not, right?
Mm,
That's
slurping on my
no.
tea, slurping on my tea, Dr. Josh.
That's the joke. That's the joke about English professors. You're on an airplane and someone's like, I need a doctor. I need a doctor. You're like, why? Is there a split infinitive? How can I help you? Like,
Okay. Okay. Doctor, no thank you. I ain't helping. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That tea is
so,
spilled. That tea is
all right,
spilled.
off we go to the
Swiftly along.
University of Alaska Fairbanks.
It's cold there
Okay.
too, isn't it?
Oh, it's very cold up there. So we all know that AI art is
Should die.
proliferating in different kind of ways.
Hmm.
I'm not disputing this. Okay. So this MFA student named Nick Dwyer had apparently produced some kind of artwork using generative art that was then printed out in some kind of way.
Hmm.
This other student came upon it in like a student art gallery, grabbed it and ate it as a protest, and was then promptly arrested, as you might imagine, because it's property damage. And
Was he
so
hungry? Did he not have his breakfast?
I found the whole thing so bizarre that naturally, of course, I was like, of course, Amo is going to love this. And
Yeah.
so here you go. Go
Here
ahead.
you go.
Be my guest.
Here you go. There it is, all chewed up and spat out right onto the gallery floor there on the bottom there, if you can see it. And they were just like little thumbnail images that were pinned onto the
Yeah.
wall. I'm just like, yeah, this dude, maybe, it gives a whole new meaning to the poor artist mentality. He didn't have anything in his cupboard to have for breakfast, so he had
Yeah.
to eat the art on the walls.
Just to be clear, it's not 3D printed art. It was
Nope,
AI generated prints,
just
right?
little,
And
just little
so
photographs.
but that's why I think what's being chewed here is like it's not as like weird sound. It is still weird, but it's not like he was chewing pieces of plastic. He was just chewing pieces of paper.
Well, when I saw the title of this before I went to read it, that's actually where my mind went to first. I was like, okay, so they're using 3D printers to print out fruit or something, and
Yeah.
it was like this AI version of an apple that just looked like a pear. And it was like, no. So yeah, just chewing
What
on
do
that
you
paper.
What do you think, Enrique?
I think this is probably part of a broader conversation, but I find it interesting the fact that as I am seeing it now, it seems that the second student was not didn't agree with this or was not okay with it and
You think?
decided to attack it. But I find it interesting, like I don't know if both students talk to each other. Like, I feel it would have been interesting for them to have a conversation about it, for example. Like, I
Mm.
feel even from your worst enemy, you have so much you can learn. Like, I wonder, like, I don't know, like, I would have liked to know exactly what the first student, the AI artist, let's say, wanted to actually express or what they why they decided to go this way rather than just sort of blocking that by removing it in a way. I'm not saying that I'm in favor of one
Mm.
or the other, but I find that interesting that it was more like I want to remove this, I want to get it out of the way rather than having a broader conversation, which I think right now makes a lot of sense, and it's something that it's definitely interesting to have.
Well, I think this is the problem of like the intersection between, say, undergraduate and graduate work, right? The person who did the generative art was MFA, right? And they're trying to use it as a tool. They're trying to do the kind of work that we do in MFA programs. You're exploring these things to see what you can do with it, right?
Hmm.
The problem is at the BFA level, an undergraduate student of any kind is liable to do stupid things. Go to any frat or sorority anywhere I can think of, and you will see stupid shit happen on a continuous basis. So it doesn't surprise me that this student, instead of saying, oh, let's have a conversation about this, just was like, this is shit, let me prove it by eating it.
Do
Like,
you know
right?
what?
I
Because
find
it
it
then
interesting.
because it then literally becomes shit out the other end, right? And so no, I mean, I think that was part of
No,
the
no, I get it.
protest
I
here.
get it. And this is why I think that potentially the two of them were in cahoots. They were like, do you know
Um,
what? They were talking
no,
to
I
each
don't
other,
think
other than
so.
the fact that he was arrested and clearly he wasn't in
That's
cahoots with them. But I don't know. If it was the case then that it was like, I'm gonna have somebody else come in and eat this because it's shit, this is what I really think about AI
well,
art.
the thing is, right? There is this supposed to be this idea of professional respect of other artists' work, right?
Mm,
Even if I don't like it, I just this is why I always
yes.
hate public critiques. Like
Yeah.
one of the things that really bothered me about my MFA was the way critique was run because it was just public shaming. And I
Yeah.
don't like to do that to people. If I don't like something, I'll talk about it with you one on one. but I'm not going to embarrass you in front of a group of people. That's just, what's the point of that? Oh, I make myself feel better. That doesn't make your art any better. But beyond that, right, it's like this idea that somehow you're going to shut down the conversation by eating it. It's just, right? It's
Exactly.
not.
That's what I meant. It feels like what happened is really under the umbrella of the term AI, and it seems to be very related to AI. But actually, we all see art that we may not fully like, or we may not fully understand in many situations. And if we just remove the AI thing, which is part of probably a different discussion, I just feel in the end someone did some art, which we've seen very unusual works of art, right? Like imagine the Dada, for example. Like it was very trendy as well, the banana in the wall, right? Like there can be many things that are very controversial, very interesting, to be honest, to spark a conversation and see what that is coming from. But I feel just blocking it, exactly as you were saying, um, it's more than if it is correct or not. I feel that it's a bit of a waste of growth, knowledge, conversation, understanding, which could have happened otherwise, right?
Well, it's not, to me, it just shows what I would expect of an undergraduate. I'm not saying all undergraduates are more adolescent than they really should be. I'm just saying if you're going to see adolescent childish behavior that's disrespectful, I certainly expect to see that from an undergrad. From a graduate student, man, look, I'm not just going to have you arrested. I'm going to punch you in the face because you just fuck with my shit, right? Like, I don't fuck with yours. You don't fuck with mine. That's the basic rule of like having shared workspaces, having like gallery work where you're having group shows and things. You don't like my shit, put your shit over in that corner. My stuff will go over here. Your people don't have to see, like, whatever you want. I don't care. But it's this basic respect kind of thing that was clearly not demonstrated here.
RESPECT, that's what it is. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I
that's
feel
what it means to me.
in like broader terms in general, this is something that could apply even for in general opinions, or I don't know, like even if there is someone that you really don't agree with, I think the first thing I would try to do is understand what's that. I would still maybe not agree with that or be against it or think that is not correct. But even in the worst thing, sometimes there is that question of how could this person come to this situation and actually do these things that I don't agree with or that I think they are not correct at all. But it's interesting to say, like, how could they actually do that? Like, what actually happened? I feel it's a very big and interesting learning process. Then you can totally be against it. Then it may be such an incorrect thing, whatever they did, right? But the understanding, I find it very interesting.
It doesn't surprise me that it happened in Alaska. That is literally the edge of the US, right? Like that's the last settled frontier of US expansion. And it still prides itself on independence. And so there's a certain kind of fuck youism to how things are done. I don't live there. I'm not saying it's like every person there would attack art. I'm not, don't cancel me. Like I care if the people of Alaska cancel me. But the point is, I just think if it was going to happen, it doesn't surprise me that it happens in a place where the climate, no pun intended, is more about like what I like rather than for the community in the same kind of way.
This brings me back to the start of what I said. It's cold there. They're out of resources. They have to eat art. That's just the way it goes. They need that fuel for the tummy. That team is built.
Yep. So this one, if you don't live in the United States, I don't know if people living outside the U.S. understand the impact of the Kennedy senator name change, or even if this took place. It was a very big deal, not just because of the influence of the Kennedys, but because it's connected to Congress, and it's a power issue about who's in control of these things. So in protest to the name change that happened, a whole bunch of artists canceled. Philip Glass, Renee Fleming, Issa Rae, Bella Fleck, Hamilton, Rihanna Giddens, Sonia de los Santos, Low Cut Connie, Martha Graham Dance Company. Like the list was just going on and on by the day. They were just canceling. So naturally, this being the right-wing fascist state it is, what do? We take it away for everybody for 2 years as we quote unquote rebuild it after it just got rebuilt 5 years ago. Also, because sundowning Donnie, who's shitting himself on a daily basis, needs another project to be distracted by. And so here's another construction project. This is what they did with his father. His father had dementia too. And they gave him a fake office and they gave him fake projects. And for the last 10 years of his life, he went to work every day and nothing that he did actually was built out in the real world.
Mm.
Unfortunately, Dementia Donnie is the president of the United States. And so when he decides, sundowning at the end of the day, I want this to happen, this is the kind of nonsense that we have to put up.
As a matter of interest for those who are not American, and for those who generally don't pay attention, is like me, is it usually called the current president and the John F. Kennedy
No,
Memorial? It's just
no, it's
usually
been
just the
called
John F. the
the
Kennedy
name
Center.
the name change has to be passed by Congress. This is not a legal thing that's been done. They just slapped it on the building and decided now we change the name. It's a very typical thing. There's a story that we're going to cover next week about the same thing that happened in Italy.
Oh,
Right?
tune in next
That's what
week
I'm
for that
saying.
story. Exciting.
This is not about the United States. This is not about Dementia Donnie. This is about like this creeping fascism that's being spread coming out of our
Mm,
friends in Russia. How do you destabilize the West? From within. Like that's where this is all coming from. Like all
mm,
this is out there in the world. And we're not usually political in any kind of way, but this does involve what creators had decided to do, which is to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to perform here. And
yes.
because they couldn't find anybody to fill their place, right? They just shut it down instead.
Well, as a matter of a side note, as always, I have loads of side notes. Philip Glass, I used to work in the English National Opera, and I had a rehearsal with Philip Glass, and he stole my orange scarf. So yeah, if you're listening, Philip Glass, can I have it back, please? Thanks, it was very nice.
Do you think he
So
did it on purpose?
he was like, "Oh, I like that," and then he put it around his neck, and then he walked out the room.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Very
I was like,
nice.
"Well, go back to your operas, babe, with your five notes." Almost
Okay.
as bad as John Cage. Oh, did I say that out loud? Bring back my orange
So that's
scarf.
what that is.
Yep.
That's what that is.
Well, I
And
say kudos to the Martha Graham Company and kudos to Philip Glass for standing up to Donald Trump and saying, we want our John F. Kennedy Center back, please. Thank you very much.
but I'll just point out that fascism in the modern world, right, isn't really so much about bullets and bombs. It's about waging kind of cultural war back and forth.
Mm,
Right. And so people are saying, oh, this is the United States, it doesn't affect me. You're going to have, if you not have had already, the same tug of war in your own cultural spaces coming soon to you.
excellent.
Yay!
Yay! Excellent. So, can we take over the John F. Kennedy Center? I'd actually move
I don't
over
know.
and fix it.
If you want to, what can I
I
tell
could
you?
just can I pry off the letters? Would that work? How are they put on? Did they use glue or screws? If I used a
It's
drill, would it come
probably
out?
it's probably drilled in with screws then in some
So
kind of
there's going to be
fashion.
like little holes in the
Yeah.
marble then. Oh, great.
Yeah. It's been defaced, which then
Yeah.
gives them the excuse to have to remake. It's the typical, it's just, don't even get me started. It's not worth it.
Oh dear.
What
I
about
originally, I remember when I picked this story originally, they hadn't yet closed it. I had
Yes.
originally picked this because here's all these artists saying, no
No.
thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The response was, if we can't play, nobody gets to play.
Yeah. But that's great. That's just like a resource that's just sitting there now because of his
Now you know why
decisions.
Charlie Chaplin had his big bouncing ball globe when he played the dictator, and he was
Yes.
mocking the Fuhrer, right? And I play with my ball. If I can't play with my ball, nobody gets to play with the ball.
Yeah.
That's how this mentality works.
Okay. Moving swiftly along into prettier and
Poof.
pleasant things.
Well,
What is
not
your
really. But off we go to basically any museum that you can think of. Like, think of your
okay?
favorite museum in the world. What's
Oh,
your favorite
oh,
museum, Enrique?
that's a tough one.
What's your absolute favorite?
it's a difficult question.
That is a
Uh,
difficult question.
Fine,
it
but
is.
nonetheless, just give an answer. Any museum that you really love will totally do. It doesn't matter. It
I was
matters, but it doesn't matter.
recently in Madrid and I went to see Prado
The
and
Prado.
went to some other museums like the archaeological one. There is also several museums. I just passed by the Tate in London some minutes ago.
Yeah.
Those
Oh.
are the ones that come to mind.
Okay. How about you, Amo?
I love the Musée d'Orsay en France. I just really like it because it's a converted train station. I think it's really cool. But I also love the type of art in there as well. And I
And
actually,
sounding fancy.
yeah, but I also really like and one that I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to in, but will definitely return to, is the gallery in the Modern Gallery in San Francisco.
Ah, okay.
What was that
Yeah,
called? The contemporary space there. It was a really cool space, and they had some really good work. So I was just like, check and check.
sure.
So hopefully go back there again. Anywho, yes. What about you, Josh? What's your favorite gallery
I
space?
like I like the Tate Liverpool. I like the V&A. I really
V&A
like
is
the V&A
gorgeous. Only there last
because
week.
there's so many galleries in the VA. It's just
Mm,
insane. And in New York, I love MoMA. Okay, but in any of the museums we just named, there are works that were stolen at some point in the past, that were
yes.
taken, right? Either because of war, because of colonialism, because of theft. Like these things end up in museum collections a variety of different ways. Every museum has a repatriation issue, right?
Mm,
It's you've been given things that other people made decisions about, and now it's in your hands. What are you going to do? Because you can't say you didn't know. Now it's on you to decide, what do we do? And so the big issue here is, what is the ethical way?
mm,
Because on the one hand, museums are designed to be repositories of culture,
yes.
right? And returning it to the original culture may or may not actually then put it into a museum-like situation at all. It may be
Mm.
disappeared. It may go into the private market. It may be destroyed. Like all kinds of things can happen. So there's a certain argument about preserving these things. The problem is, what if there are cultures that say, no, we have places prepared. We'd like these things back. What is a
Mm.
museum to do if they're also getting tourist money, if they're getting money into their country? Like there's a huge amount of money at stake here with the decision of where these things go.
Well, I
What do you
think
think?
we've covered similar stories about this before, about the reappropriation of art, and about how people have it unethically, and how other galleries are preserving it or keeping it in safe protection. And there's obviously a whole load of different strands to the ethics of having artwork that is from a different culture in your own gallery.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously the ones that is kind of a case of, okay, right, well, we're taking this work away from this particular area right now because it's in a war-torn situation. And I suppose that's the other side of it too. So I don't think there is a black and white tale to this. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like if it's a case that they are equipped to be able to look after their own artwork and to present it, then that's a great thing. But also, if there's work brought over to, say, a London gallery, representative of a particular culture, it's only informing us about that particular culture and hopefully going to support that. And yeah, there's like a whole other way of looking at
Okay.
that.
What do you think,
You know
Enrique?
what I was thinking? I think this is part of even a broader conversation, which I think it's also very, like, it's not that straightforward. I like what you were saying, that nothing is really black and white, which is even what's the purpose of museums, right? Which is a little bit,
Yeah.
or what's their goal is a little bit what you were mentioning about, because there are many museums which at the time were showing a collection of what many Western, in general, um, societies would consider exotic
Mm,
objects or rare objects, or
All right.
but I think we've advanced a lot from that, right? So what's the purpose of certain museums now? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to teach? Are they trying to open to show people other things, as you were saying, which in a way can be seen a little bit as embassy kind of things, almost advertisement of, if you want to see more, you have this is where it is, right? This is where you should go. Like, don't stay with just these. While on the other hand, we are also thinking, well, do we even need to have this? Like, what does it make sense that these things are here? If they belong to somewhere else, they should return to where they were taken. So I feel it's such a big conversation. I'm happy that this is coming up more and more, and this is a conversation that is
mm,
happening, and actions are being taken in different directions, even in terms of an educational point of view. Like, how do people see museums? Do they go to a do most people go to a museum and understand what's going on? Why do someone go to a certain museum? What are they expecting, right? And how to make, if it's art, for example, how to make it more approachable. If it's
Right.
something else, the same, how to make it more approachable, what things to show, and why to show certain things. I feel it's a very, very nice thing that these questions are being posed now, and that actions are actually being taken once some questions are being answered.
Yeah. Well, I think you both are pointing to the core issue here, which is how does a culture want itself to be represented,
Mm,
right? Some of that is going to be outwardly facing, almost
mm,
kind of like a marketing funnel, right? It's like I was thinking, like if you want people to travel your country, you don't run ads for your country in your country. You run ads for your country in other countries, right? Because the goal is to get people to come to you. So in that sense, some museum installations, particularly if they're traveling, meaning that they're not going to be there forever, are absolutely encouraging people to come see things they wouldn't see otherwise, right? And so that has a kind of global, the world is open to all of us. The flip side is if a culture is saying there are certain things that matter to us, that are sacred, that we want to remain in a certain place, that we want you to come visit rather than it coming to you, then I think you have to respect that. And the problem is that until all museums are doing this swapping, it seems like the museum is giving up something. But if all this shit's being swapped around the world at the same time, right, you're going to end up with stuff that's back to you that other people had. So you still have your attractions, and then you can decide how much of that you want to keep circulating externally from you because it's back in your hands. The ball is in your court, literally, if you will.
mm.
Right? It just gets back to this like it's a post-colonial issue that comes up again and again in terms of sovereignty and agency. And ultimately, it's about power, about who gets to make the decision.
Yeah, yeah.
Since the object,
Exactly.
right? The cliche is that possession is 9/10 of the law. So, like, they've been arguing about the Grecian urns now for how many hundreds of years? Give
Mm.
it back, give it back. But guess what? You can keep asking for what we have, but unless we give it back to you, ha ha ha, all you can do is keep asking.
Exactly, and I think that's the value of having that consensual. Even what we were talking about, like that, it doesn't mean that all art or old pieces need to be inside of the country where they were
Mm,
created or that they represent, and nothing can be anywhere else, right? But
mm.
having that sort of consensual agreement of what does one country want to have back and what do they want.
Yeah.
But I totally agree that even from a legal point of view, this is so
Yeah.
difficult and so
Mm.
uh,
Yeah.
almost controversial, right? Like for both sides, exactly what Amon was saying, that nothing is black or white. Like everything is so gray that is not something that
I
an
think
easy decision can be made.
I think something as well. You mentioned the V&A, Josh, and actually,
Mhm.
when I was there last week, what they're doing a lot now in galleries to further emphasize cultures across the world is just to make replicas
Yeah.
of different antiquities and different artifacts or pieces to scale, and
Yeah.
like and with very similar materials
Right.
to give people a really good experience of them. And I think that's something that was huge in the V&A. And what I could see was that like there was a huge amount of replicas that gave you the opportunity. And I suppose it's much easier now for us to travel, unlike Josh,
Yeah.
who doesn't want to travel anywhere outside of the seas. um it's much easier to get to these different countries
Yeah.
to see them in real life now anyway. But in the V&A, for example, they, I suppose, go back about 50 years, it was much more difficult to go and see these things. So they would make replicas for people to see, like the Statue of David, which is in
Right.
Florence, and you can see
Right.
a full scale replica of that in London. So I suppose it's like like a kind of a
Well, that's
side
actually the
piece.
origin. Most
Mm,
museums, what they did, they didn't have originals. What they
mm,
did was they were working with copies. This goes back. So the museum is not like it's not brand new, but the museum as it's currently configured only goes back to like the middle of the 19th century.
mm,
This comes out of Foucault. For those who are looking for critical theory, like look at Foucault, you can look at how history ends up becoming processed and commodified in different ways, and the way
mm,
space is partitioned to start to make these kinds of galleries and things. But originally, unless you were like in Florence, where you had the originals, right, where you had these sculptures, well, guess what? The only way you're going to get is if you made a copy,
yeah,
because that was the digital copy of the day,
mm,
right? Like the
yeah,
3D printing of the day is get a skilled craft person, make a copy of it, bring it over, and
mm,
voila, it's the same thing,
yeah.
but not because they didn't really care about it in the same kind of way in terms of authenticity.
Well, and I think if unless the actual artifact is in a place of difficulty, surrounded by potential security issues or whatever, then the copy should suffice. That should be where it's at. Anywho, that seems like a story that we could talk about forever and ever, and I feel like we have spilt tea on that at this moment in time. So check out your local gallery, folks, and see what's real, what's not, and if it's not real, or if it is real and it belongs somewhere else, then say bring that back to its home. Anywho,
Or your local museum if you're in the U.S.
or your museum. Okie dokie. Let's not bash the US. It gets enough of a bashing as it is.
I'm just saying what you call a gallery is what we call a museum. We
Oh, of
have
course,
galleries.
of
We
course,
have
of course,
galleries
of
inside
course,
museums.
of
So if you say to
course.
people, if you say to a U.S. listener, go visit a gallery, they're going to the commercial shit. They're not going to the center of culture that we're talking about, right? Those are two different things here.
I mean, we're both speaking English. Why is it that you have to be so different over
I don't
there?
know.
Anywho,
Tell me about your aluminium.
my aluminium,
Yeah.
aluminum.
Like there you go. See?
We say
See?
aluminium, you say aluminum.
We do. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, you're strange
So
folk.
yeah, we're the strange ones, sure.
Yeah, you are. Go,
Anyhow,
go get your
Enrique,
go get your tomato potatoes over there.
you've got some cool stuff coming up. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah,
Definitely, yes. Thank you so much. I am gonna be teaching very soon, this month. I'm gonna be doing a workshop about drawing. Drawing is something that I really, really enjoy, and I've been researching a lot about it, and I've been experimenting and trying different things. And something I like a lot about drawing, or the way I try to approach it, is try to have a more expressive approach. And I did a lot of work in the past on the line itself and the mark making. And that's something that I find really interesting. And this is what this workshop is going to be about. I some of the concepts that I want to introduce, which is something that I personally enjoyed a lot and I learned a lot from, is, for example, how sculpture can help inform the work of the drawer, in like using things like methods like continuous line. I like to explore how I really really like looking and putting a lot of emphasis on the looking at the subject before drawing and while drawing. So these are some of the things that I'm gonna explore in this workshop.
great.
Things like that gaze, that looking at the model while working on your piece at the same time. So not looking that much at what you're doing, but being able to measure directly
Sure.
from that. And it's something that's happening this month. I'm gonna be doing it in the UK, here in England, in Cambridge, and we've got still some spots left. So if any of the viewers is around and would like to join, definitely, I'd be very, very happy to
Yeah,
have more people there. It's gonna be a
absolutely.
lot of fun.
And folks, if you see by the standard of his work, as what you can see here in this promotion image and across his portfolio on our collective website, you can see that it is well worth the visit. So do check out that workshop. And if you want to book a spot, Enrique, how do we do that?
I think the easiest way is to do it through the website of Tyndall's, which is the place where I will be doing.
Okay.
Or if they go to my Instagram, they can go to my bio, and I've got a link there. Maybe that's even easier for
Yeah.
many people. So if they just go
We
to
can
my
put it down
profile.
below.
Great. We'll pop a link into the bio as to where you can book your ticket to go and experience that
We are
wonderful
pros here.
expressive line in line drawing. How fabulous is that? And he's a Spaniard as well, so you know how good the Spanish are at the
Come
classical
on, look at
drawing.
this guy.
So
Just look at this
you
young,
know how
sexy buck. Come on,
how
ladies.
can you resist? How can you resist? So go check that out on the 28th of February,
We were
2026 in Tyndall's.
we were talking before about the horror films, and Iman, you were mentioning about the psychological thrillers, right? Like that's something that I like a lot in terms of the drawing, right? That contortion,
Yes.
that psychology,
Mm,
that's something that's in the arts, for example, is something I like to see as well, in
Well, you
general,
can
excellent.
not
see
only
that.
not only in cinema.
Yeah. Egon Schiele, right? You can see that all over the stuff that you've been working on. It's the
Mm,
expressiveness of the line, right? I mean, I think that's what actually makes it interesting is because it's a technique that many artists will use, but because it requires particularity, it's about mode, tone, and mood, right? So how you're feeling as you're doing that line is exactly the expressiveness we're going to get. It's a
amazing.
kind of post-expressivist use of figuration. And I think many people aren't artists don't understand that. Those of us who have grown up as illustrators, we understand that it's very difficult to master that because it's a kind of stream of consciousness of drawing.
Mm,
Exactly. It's
absolutely.
what is happening, how I process it, how I turn it into a piece, and how
In
someone
the
else
moment.
later
Yes.
perceives that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Mhm.
such an interesting process, definitely.
Yeah. It's the equivalent
Letting
of
go as well is hard.
it's the equivalent of jazz or progressive rock. It's about being in the moment in a way that requires a
Mm,
kind of giving up in order to actually receive. And for practitioners of that, what makes it interesting is because we don't know exactly what's going to happen until it happens.
absolutely. We do.
Exactly.
Let it go, guys. Let it go.
Yeah.
Express yourself. Find your inner artist. Go to Enrique's class and become one with the line. Sounds fabulous. Love it. I'm here for it.
Yep. Don't
Excellent.
just don't just buy art from us living artists. Become a living artist yourself. Come work and
100%.
learn.
Handy. Handy. Absolutely.
Right. All of us
Absolutely.
started somewhere. All of us
We
worked
do.
with the
We do.
people. This is all of us still do. It only gets better.
It only gets better. Excellent. There we go. We got a little tune in there and everything. Don't cancel us, YouTube. Anywho, that's all we have time for today, folks. Check out Enrique's page at Enrique Art on Instagram, and you can follow him there. And also, what you can do is follow us at New Collective Art, where you'll find out all of the latest info there. Do we have a brand new issue of anecdotes coming out at the end of the month, so stay
Yep.
tuned for that. We're looking forward to releasing that. We've got some really exciting stuff already lined up in that
Yeah.
new journal. So,
I've
uh,
got a painting in there. What do you have in there, Enrique?
I'm gonna send some drawings actually. So
drawings, excellent.
Nice.
The
I haven't done
expressive
a
line
portrait.
comes to life.
I haven't done a portrait for years, and I did it. It was part of
Mm.
a contest we had for a friend, and so I painted a hyper realistic portrait. So many goddamn bottles. It was a bartender with the bar behind him. So many bottles. So many
Did you find that
bottles.
relaxing or irritating, Josh?
When I was doing the underpainting, right? Because when you're painting glass, you
Yeah.
really have to have an underlayer first. Otherwise,
Mm,
it won't look like a natural glass kind of shimmer. So when
mm.
I was just kind of blocking out each of the bottles, that was nice. That was a complete just get in the zone. When I actually had to start doing the fucking labels, and I wasn't going for like super because it's like in the background, but I still had to block out like what was slight curves to the rectangles, what was
Oh,
the arches of the. So doing that for 100 fucking bottles at a certain point that became tedious. You know what I'm saying? Like
oh.
you're into it and so you're like, well, I can't stop now. I want the damn picture to look good. I can't only have some of them look good. And then some of them are like, ah, fuck it. And so it just becomes this process of how many times am I going to go through and keep adding and adding and adding? You know what I mean? And I don't like painting that way.
Well, you're painting a nice picture of the painting, so we're looking forward to actually seeing it. So that would be great. And Enrique, we hope that you'll write a few lines about your line drawing as well. That'd be really interesting to read about that
But
process.
what
So
are you
that could be
putting
good.
in?
Me, that's a surprise.
Oh, no, no, come on. We want to give people some breadcrumbs
it's
It's a
just to
here.
mention
surprise.
just a little bit.
If you come
No
back
spoilers. Just
if you come back next week, I might tell you what I might put into it.
So no one, for the most that don't know, Amo did some paintings and then he got married and went on, honeymoon and whatever. And
Yeah.
so we don't even know what your new work is. I have no idea
My
what your
new
new
work,
stuff is.
my new work is get my left hand working again, because
Not touching that one.
that's not. Yes, I have a little issue with my nerves now, so the whole world knows about that now. So once I've that fixed, once I get my big spinal injection next week, I'll be back to painting again. So there you go. Now the whole world knows, and you can all send your love in the comments below and make this viral.
Send him teddy bears.
Send me teddy bears. Absolutely, I love them. Make sure they're nice and squishy and soft. I love that. Great. That's all we have time for, folks, really, this time. So until next week, where we will be continuing to spill the RT, we will see you then and stay creative. Bye, folks.